What is up, gang? It's Friday. I'm here with Arturo. We out here making it out the mud, doing it dirty style. What's he doing? I got it reversed. We're live.
You're actually live?
Yes, I'm actually live.
You're yelling like a maniac?
Yes, I got to get the excitement going. If you don't have excitement, no one watches it. No one's going to watch something boring. Speaking of boring, what is this?
I'm just trying to leak test.
Leak test.
Makeshift leak test here. I got that one. That one was good. It didn't leak, but this one is leaking out of the front here. So I'm trying to make it happen.
Okay. So, yeah, it's one of those. I know we've talked about it before in the past, but with headers, Mr. Matchbick, whoa, what the freak? So, what's up? I know we talked about it before, but smoke testing, exhaust manifolds, something like that is very, very important. You know, right here is your front O2 that does fueling. So if you have a leak here, wherever, it's going to throw this reading off. That's no good. You cannot get a proper safe tune if you don't have proper fueling. Smoke test your stuff. Don't skip a step. We do it right. Arturo's the man. He's got his truck driver headset on. He's ready to dispatch. Going to send him some loads. They're sending him to Gary, Indiana.
No.
Yeah. All right. You know what I'm going to do, guys? I had it flipped around. I had the camera flipped. My hat's backwards now. I can't do it. It's weird, the reverse. So we'll flip it back when I'm in the office. That's why. What's that? CJ's looking at me. He's got the classic CJ smile, the pearly white showing. This is the RHO. Things are disconnected. I don't want to get into more than that. Things are disconnected on the RHO. So, really excited. Hey, here's a Hellcat motor. You could buy it and put it in your car. That'd be cool. You should definitely do it. Don't look at any fiscal responsibilities. Don't look at any bills. Don't look at any bank statements. Don't look at mortgages. Just buy the Hellcat motor and deal with the rest of it later. If I can make it work, you can make it work. Do it. We got a Hellcat Swap 300 orange camo setup. Beautiful powder-coated blower. Let's let some more freaks into the chat. I said Satera Tuning mentioned you because I want to see if it gets more people in. I always get tricked by people on Instagram Live, so I wanted to see if I can trick you guys too. If you hate it, let me know and I'll never do it again. Or I might do it every other single time. So it's kind of fun. We'll see what it is, but you know, we'll see. What up, Chris? Oh, Moto Rex. So this is a swap. Came in with some exhaust leaks, so we got those taken care of. Got her on the dyno. Noticed some weird electrical gremlins, so we're getting those sorted out. Gonna get her back on the dyno. Big old motor, 300. You guys know I love my 300s. Ooh, wait. I actually have an update for you on the clapnum, on the piece of junk. Woohoo! Turbo kit's on somewhat. I got some R&Ding. I got some R&Ding to get the intercooler on. This is an earlier car, so it's got a junk power steering line, so I'm seeing what they want me to do about that. I'm probably just going to delete it. It's power steering, you know what I mean? It's not, I don't know, it's not getting that hot, and if my pump burns up, I don't care. It's my car. I'll let her get trashed. It's fun. I can't afford anything that's not speed parts. If it doesn't make it go faster, I don't want it. Hey, guess what? More Hellcat motors. Oh my God. If you have more than one car, you can have more than one Hellcat motor. You can get this one, or this one, or that one. That one right there. So, you need a Hellcat motor. Jeremy, do the people need a Hellcat motor?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, that got me dizzy.
Yeah. What is the lead time for your shop's projects? It depends on what's getting done. Everything has a different turnaround. Depends on the scope of the project. If it's like a level 1 on a Hellcat, different, you know what I mean? So it all depends on what needs to get done to work with our scheduling. So message us with what you need to do going on. We'll get you some more info, try and get you a little ballpark. What's up, Rick? I'm I'm doing 5-7 things. CJ, working on Bill's car. So,
Got a hole in it.
yes, sir. She has a very small hole. Just a little bit. It's an inspection window. It lets you check the torque on your rod bolts. Really nice. It's a feature. It's going to be coming to my Magnum very soon. It's going to be coming to Dan's Charger. Dan's Charger. We're going to throw a turbo on CJ's truck. It's going to get one too. Everyone gets an inspection hole. So, no, not really. We don't like inspection holes. But we can fix inspection holes. If you have a hole in your motor, you know what's crazy? That motor doesn't have a hole in it. This is really hard to get lined up. There. That motor doesn't have a hole in it. That would be a cool motor if your motor has a hole in it. Even if it doesn't have a hole in it, put a hole in your motor so you can tell your wife, babe, I need this motor. Blew my up. So, yes, sir. Looking to have an upgraded intake. Aw, my man. Woo, get excited. So, we got a little detail going on. Don't forget, if your car is here, we can get you a discount on details. There's Boss Man. He's going to see that in about 30 seconds. Oh, I think you just saw it. Doing a little detail action. So, Boss Man's minivan. Got to get her all sorts of clean before we do that Hellcat swap in this puppy. You know what I mean? We can't have a dirty van getting Hellcat swap. So, Matt's doing his thing over here, using his little loud air tornado. Make sure those mats are as clean as Christmas. Gotta love it. It's loud, kinda. I don't know if you guys can hear everything. I'm sorry if you can't, but I think that's just about it. What else? We got an exhaust in. Remember, even if you don't need installation, we can still get you parts. So, really fun. Don't forget garage sale. Trackhawk front subframe, diff, SRT knuckles, all that fun stuff. So, it's fun, man. It's fun. We got a little red gut 300. I did not show you that. Steezy. I got to love it. So I think that's about that. We got Chris. What up, Chris? What's up? You've seen him in the comments before. The man, the myth, the legend, the Toyota Passau record holder. Big dog. If you know what a Toyota Passau is, he had a fast one at some point. I didn't know they were a thing, but they are. So that's about it for this week. CJ's doing his thing, get this motor ready to come off. New motor, I believe, is here. So it just needs to get old swapped. I'd want to buy this motor, but it does have an inspection hole. So unsure about that. I know, I have 2 motors now. Am I coming to lunch with you? Oh, Jeff, I'm really sorry. That Civic, I'm getting it tomorrow. Ooh.
Yeah, we can go get fucking Arby's.
Watch your...
Oh, sorry. We can go get flippin' Arby's.
Yeah. You want to go get Arby's with CJ, Jeff?
Jeff, let's go get
smile.
Arby's.
You can't say no to that smile. That's a trustworthy smile. I'd let him sell me a car. He wouldn't be ripping me off. There's no way. He used to sell cars. Can you tell by the smile he used to sell cars? Yeah, he's a real scumbag. So, I'm going to let him get back to his thingy thing. He got his drink going on. So, let's go in the shop. The office. Goodness gracious. I'm losing my mind. All this horsepower, all these Hellcat motors are driving me insane. Someone buy them before I lose my mind and get put in an institution. Let's see what else. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know. There might be things I'm not allowed to show. And I really, really enjoy my job, so I'm not trying to lose it. But you guys can wait, because we will announce stuff. We got Joe. What up, Cam? You want to say hi to the people? Okay. Whoop. 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 Bam. I got the Edelbrock Victor 2.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Friday. Oh, man in the building. Y'all
Oh!
like that.
Wait, come back.
right here.
He's got merch on.
Cam has good energy. Yours just hurts. Why is it up there?
Because it makes me... I fit the whole frame.
Really? All right, bias to you. That's fine. It's fine. You could leave it. It's fine. No, we'll do it for. There you go. All right, what's going on, everybody? Another live, another Friday.
We're still here.
Yeah, we're still here pumping away. So this week we thought we'd do. Obviously, we're a little biased to the catch can you see next to us, but catch cans, right? We've been seeing a lot more discussion on it. It seems like in recent post times, and seems like as a new year comes around, people are going to start getting tax money, so they're looking into what they should buy.
Yes.
And hey, it's okay. Little crybaby over there. Sorry. So we wanted. This is kind of a 2-for-1, right? What is a catch can? Why do you need it? What's the benefit of it? And at the same time, we'll talk about what Build Evolution produces for the Hemi market and what's going to be available for all Mopars. So, what is a catch can? Now, from the factory, every vehicle has what's called crankcase ventilation, PCV systems, right? So what that is there's pressure in the bottom of the crankcase due to the amount of the explosion that happens in the combustion chamber. Some of it makes it by the piston rings. It's just the way it happens, right? It's by design. So there's a little bit of pressure that builds up in the bottom of the crankcase where your oil is, where the crank is, right down there. Any open area can go up into the heads even. So what you want to do is you want to vent that. You want to get rid of that pressure. It's not good to have that pressure inside, okay? So from the factory, they have PCV systems that are routed back into the intake. Now, normally what you will find is you'll have one pre-throttle body to create a little bit of suction under wide open throttle to help kind of move free air both in and out, and then kind of a regulation, right? Under wide open throttle, the air going by the intake will create a suction effect and then help evacuate that way. Then the one normally to the PCV valve that is post throttle body, so in the intake where vacuum is generated at most driving conditions, right? So why do you want a catch can? What does it do? It basically goes in line for those hoses that go to the intake and or the PCV system, okay? So you can see the billet provides them with quick neck fittings.
Stupid easy.
So the one Tulo's holding is for a TRX, for example. That mounts in the over by the overflow tank. We have a bracket for it that goes there. So, but basically it's a container or a space to grab that crankcase ventilation and prevent those oil vapors that could come with the crankcase ventilation from going back into the intake and the combustion chamber. Ultimately, what happens with the pressure you get, it's coming from the crankcase where your oil is, right? So you're going to get oil vapors. So the oil vapors go with this pressure into the PCV system and the tubes. So what the purpose of the catch can is it gives a space for those oil vapors to be housed before those pressure vapors make it back into the intake system. So it reduces the amount of oil vapors that get reburnt by having a PCV system in place, okay? So the reason you don't want to burn oil is it's an octane killer. It drops octane. Corrosion, right? You've seen the buildup from oil being burned inside on pistons, valves, injectors because it's going through the intake system. I mean, everywhere. Oil vapors are just bad, right? So this gives it a place to house it all before it goes through all of those components. Sensors even, map sensors, I've seen them blown out from oil. Because they're designed for air, they're not designed for liquid. And if you have enough blow-by or oil vapors, it can blow out map sensors. So you want a place to contain it. It's also, on this one, there's a drain valve we have at the bottom.
Right here. Don't got to get your hands dirty. Just do that. Boom, it's drained.
Right. Every time you do an oil change, you pop that open. A clear hose gets provided. So you start your oil change, pop that open, let it drain, and then you don't have to worry about it, right? So as you can see, there's a screen built in on there, as it has multiple ports for in and out and chambers to help really capture. Behind there, there's some metal bits inside that give it surface area for the oil vapors to grab onto. So we make the oil vapors move quite a bit and go through material so it can collect that oil vapor and prevent it from going back into your engine. So yes, by design, manufacturers say it's normal to consume oil, right? They have to. Why do manufacturers allow oil to be reburned? Emissions. It's 100% the reason, guys. They are required to do it because they don't want to put these oil vapors to the atmosphere. Okay, so that is why manufacturers do it the way they do it is purely for emissions reasons to prevent oil vapors from going to the atmosphere, okay? So they just, we don't agree with some of the practices, right? But they want to put that oil vapor back through the combustion chamber and make it go through the catalytic converter, so that way even when being burnt, the catalytic converter will help save the atmosphere, right? That is why they don't have anything in place, or why they don't vent it to the atmosphere. Now, if these are so important, why don't manufacturers have them on vehicles from the factory? This has been answered by several engineers that design these engines, because it's an added step that the end user would be required to do to maintain and change a catch can, emptying it. And it's just one of those maintenance items where if you don't put a catch can on and never check it, and over time and it fills up, guess what? It's going to get ingested in quicker, right? It's full of oil, water vapors, and everything. It can cause more issues than good. So they have decided that it's not worth it to put it on, because it is a requirement to have the customer actually maintain something a little more.
That's hard. Some people don't even do oil changes.
Right. A lot of people, speaking of that, minivan really needs one. But
oh boy. And air in the tires.
Yeah.
It got cold.
It did get cold. But, so it's one of those things, like normal maintenance is neglected by people. So it's one of those that this can cause a lot of damage if it's not maintained correctly. So they opt to just burn it slowly the way that they burn it, okay? So
it's huge.
It's big.
It's huge.
Yeah, one of the
look at that.
Wait, no logos. We don't want to
no free advertising. Pay us first.
Yeah. So, so diving into the review. So we got what it does, why you need it, right? It keeps those oil vapors out. Now, there are two kinds of catch can systems you're going to see on the market. This one is a street can. It's recirculated in, so it basically just goes in line where the normal hoses go and just gives the space for those vapors to be caught. And it's a sealed unit, so it doesn't create a vacuum leak or anything like that. The other ones are known as race cans or vented cans. So what is the purpose of those compared to this? Well, if you really just want zero chance of any oil vapors going back into your engine, you vent it to the atmosphere for race cars, right? That's why they're called race cans most of the time. So it just gives a container, again, under those heavy load, high horsepower requested conditions, when crankcase pressure can go through the roof, right? You now have a containing unit to put any of those oil vapors in. Pro mods, real big fast race cars with thousands of horsepowers, fill catch cans on a single 1,000-foot pass, right? 8th mile passes. They fill them because the amount of blow by and pressure that's in their combustion chambers and their crankcase. So on a car that you're starting to increase horsepower on, you're going to increase crankcase pressure. It's just natural and it's normal, okay? There is an excessive amount, yes, but crankcase pressure is normal and you want to vent it accordingly. We don't want it to necessarily go back in the combustion chamber, and we don't want it to build up. You can blow out rear main seals. You can blow out valve covers. We actually had a twin turbo 392 on the dyno that factory 392s don't have a ton of crankcase ventilation because they're NA cars, right? Not like a Hellcat that has two basically -10 ports on their valve covers for this purpose, right? So 392s really don't have that. Well, it had stock 392 valve covers on it and just one little port. Well, guess what? It ended up blowing. You could, during the dyno pull, you literally could see the oil blowing out from the valve cover gasket, right? There was so much pressure in there. The motor's fine. It's not hurt. It's just, when you're making 900, 950 wheel horsepower plus and you don't have crankcase ventilation, that can happen. So you can blow seals out, right? Is there somebody out there that's boosted blowing rear main seals a lot? You might want to look into better crankcase ventilation, okay? Yep. That's also why Build Evolution also designed the valve covers the way that they did as well. So it again goes down this road. They're on the wall here, like you could just point. There's pretty one right there.
You have to see the ports.
So
we're visual learners here. Look at that big old port for PCVs.
Yeah, make the big ports, right? And then on your 392.57 cars, where you have none on the valve covers, you can then get a total of 4 or 2 on each side, right? So it allows you to increase. And it's one of those, more is better than not enough, right? So that's why there's a total of 4 ports. Do you need it? My personal car that made 1,500 wheel, I just had 1 port utilized on each side, and it was enough with the -10 hose. But if I wanted to, or I had an excess of crankcase pressure, there were 2 ports ready to go through the race cans, which have 2 ports on them as well. So you can have 2 ports from each valve cover going to 1 catch can as long as it's free flowing, right? So yeah, and the Build Evolution by design, they made their catch cans bigger. freer flowing, right? It's one of those, like I just
huge.
said.
You can fit your hand in it.
The bigger, the better. It just gives more reserved air, and it's one of those. If you have pressure, if things are smaller, you'll now build up pressure in the lines quicker. So again, it's just more reserved. So we are Billet Evolution is working on. They actually 3D printing them now. We're coming out with some smaller ones because, you know, on a 5.7 bolt-on car, 392 bolt-on car, you might not need something as big as like a Hellcat, right? So it's going to reduce the cost and allow it to fit in easier places as well. So we are going to see smaller designs coming out soon by Billet Evolution. But for the high horsepower builds, they do in regards to a cylinder-shaped catch can have one of the largest volume containers. And it's over-engineered and well thought out.
It's huge.
It's big. It is big. You can fit a pop can in there.
You can, 100%.
But yeah, so again, we went over the whys you want it. You don't want oil vapors going in, and it's a place to catch the crankcase pressure, right? You want to make sure you don't blow gaskets out. You don't want it to necessarily make it back into the combustion chamber. So, it is very beneficial. So I know the internet out there says sometimes it's not worth it. You don't need it. It's okay because yes, but it's one of those, it does not hurt. There is benefits across the board with no negatives. So, if, in a could you, should you, if we throw it in, could I get a catch can, should you? Yes, and we do strongly recommend it. That's why most of our packages come with the catch can, right? It's just one of those ways to increase reliability and maintain more consistent horsepower as well. So again, there's really no negatives to getting a proper catch can setup. So, but that's it. Billet Evolution catch cans and catch cans in general. So if you're coming in late, after this is over, you can rewind and go over it. We kind of go over the hows, the whys, and why you want one. So.
What about warranties? Does it affect warranty at all?
Putting a catch can on does not affect warranty, no. It doesn't hurt the warranty in any way, shape, or form. You're not changing performance in any way, shape, or form. It's not illegal in any way, shape, or form. So, no, it's one of those. It's a great preventative item, right? There's a discussion on the internet about cleaning injectors and things like that. It's called a preventative item you can put on. It helps to improve reliability and longevity. Again, no negatives to it. So
kind of like a routine doctor visit.
Yeah,
just
sure.
Staying healthy and hopefully not dying. But
I'm taking that personally. I don't go to doctors. But
you don't? Oh.
Anyway,
all
right, guys.
Survey says that's a lie.
I don't go to doctors.
Been quite recently.
Well, yeah, when I break something, you have to. Anyways. All right, so we'll jump into the questions and could you, should yous. We actually have a handful this week, unlike last week. Again, sorry, very sick last week. Not in the best condition, but we're back. And we ate beforehand, so we're not going to get hangry.
How much are our catch cans, Jeremy?
Oh, great question.
Boy!
Whoa. Look at that. So the street cans start at $200, and then the race cans start at $250. As you can see, they get supplied with all connections, mounts, and everything needed to bolt it on. We have it for the 6.4s, the 5.7s, all Hellcat powered vehicles. We are working on expanding that as well for other makes and manufacturers too. So. But 6.1s, it's available for all modern Mopar vehicle, Gen 3 Hemis, I should say right now. Don't come maybe with an SRT4 yet, but we'll get there. But
I want a neon.
I've had one. They're fun.
We should get one. We should get a shop neon.
We,
the shop.
Why don't you just go buy one when you get your Honda?
No, I need a EG roller, guys.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
One more question I saw about catch cans.
Yes.
With the race catch can I mount it anywhere? If I have a Hellcat, can I mount it in the normal Hellcat mounting location with a thing going into the barb, even though it's an open possible vacuum leak?
So we did mention about vented cans. They are vented, right?
They have a screen right here.
A big hole in the top of them. So you want to connect it to the crankcase venting ports on the valve covers, right? Or on a 392 on the back of the manifold. But the ones going to the intake manifold where it's going to see vacuum, you do not want to put a connection there. We did have a customer just learning, right, as they go on. They ordered a race can and they hooked it up like a normal catch can, and they created a massive vacuum leak. So vented cans just purely go to the crankcase ventilation ports, okay? So on the valve covers, some intake manifolds have specific ones towards the rear, stuff like that, 6.1s in the front. But you don't want to go to the vacuum ports on your intake manifold. You can set them up with check valves and things like that. There are really advanced ways to do it. But if it's a true vented catch can, it's purely in place just to allow those pressures to vent on their own. The pressure itself is what is going to allow it to come out. No vacuum or suction needed.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Again, mainly for high horsepower applications, high boosted applications. That's when you want to switch over to a vented race can. So. All right, now into the could you, should yous questions, anything like that, anything you guys are thinking of, throw them in there. Cam will pass them on to us.
Could you, should you send us a 4th gen Cummins valve cover?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Send it to us. We ain't making nothing. Joe ain't making nothing.
No, Joe's slow,
Without
man. He's sitting there doing nothing, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have anything on his
No,
plate. He
nothing
just
at
sits
all.
there and twiddles his thumb.
Yeah.
I'm scared now.
Yeah, be careful.
Can we lock the door?
Yeah, we should better be careful.
All right. Anyway, could you,
Yeah.
should you? Not really. Could you, should you? Just more of a question.
Yeah.
Does adding more boost mean more power? I'm making 20 pounds. If I crank it up to 40 and I change nothing else, am I going to double my horsepower, or am I just going to cry?
Yeah, you're probably gonna cry.
Oh.
With the rod's sticking out the side.
Bye-bye.
Anyway, so you can turn it. Could you, should you? Could you continue to increase boost and see a horsepower increase? Should you? Guys, listen. There is a limit of boost to horsepower. Okay, so I'm gonna focus out of the gate mainly on supercharged applications because I'm getting a lot more of these questions. Right. For those saying stuff, I can't see anything. I am blind with these, as funny as that sounds.
I got the comments.
I think somebody said hi. Oh, hey, what's up?
What up?
So that when it comes down to pulling down a supercharger, okay, anybody that's been doing it for a long time will tell you what their maximum pulley or most aggressive pulley combination will be. I will use the 2.4 liter Hellcat blower as an example, okay. The most aggressive we like to do on street cars is a 274 upper and a 10% lower. We do make a 2666 upper and have it on several vehicles. And here's the thing. As you spin a supercharger faster, okay, so you're making pulleys smaller on the blower, the crank pulley's larger. The faster you spin it, the more parasitic loss you start to create, okay? So, although you're increasing boost, it makes it harder for the engine to spin the given supercharger, okay? On top of that, the faster you spin something, the more heat gets generated. It's friction. That's part of the reason why there's parasitic loss as well. So you're going to create more heat by friction. On top of it, the more you compress air, the more heat you make as well. So now you're compounding up on the things that actually create heat, okay? So, is it possible to continue to pulley down a blower and the horsepower just continually goes up? No. And what you'll see happen is as you get more aggressive with the pulley, you know, down low when you're at 10 pounds of boost and then you go to 11 pounds of boost, you'll get an extra 30 horsepower, we'll say, right? But by the time you're going from 20 to 21 pounds of boost, it might only be 10 horsepower, right? And then from 22 to 25 might be 7 horsepower.
Oh, no!
How does that make sense when there's more boost? Well, more friction, more parasitic loss because it's harder to spin, and more heat.
What does heat do to air, Jeremy?
What do you think it does? dude?
Not good things. Not power-related things.
So hot air is less dense. What that means is just there's less oxygen per cubic inch or of volume than cooler air. Okay, and the whole point of what we're trying to do is force oxygen inside the combustion chamber. We say air boost, right? But the reality is we're trying to get as much oxygen inside the combustion chamber as we can, then match it with the proper fueling, and it makes a bigger boom, bigger explosion, right? So, but colder air is more dense than hotter air.
I mean, think about touching an air compressor after you turn it off after it's been running. It's hot. It's compressed air.
It's because there's a motor running. It has
but
nothing to do with the compressor.
nah, it's hot. It's hot compressed air.
Don't listen to that.
It's
one.
hot
That
compressed
did
air.
not make any sense.
Okay.
All right.
I was trying to give
You tried, but that's not why it's hot. All right.
I needed.
So I'll give an example. I was actually remote tuning for a shop that put a Whipple on a TRX. They went from 12 pounds of boost to 16 pounds of boost, and because of the added boost, the adjustment to the timing, and the additional heat it made, it didn't make that much more power on their dyno. So they increased their air charge temps by over 60 degrees at that given time because of the pulley combination. So they're spinning a 3-liter Whipple a lot faster, so it's taking more power to spin it. It's creating more heat, and as boost goes up, a proper tune timing goes down. So all things considered, you lose power. Now, we were able to correct that by putting a chiller on it. So they forgot to turn their IC chiller on when they were doing the pulls. Guess what? They turned it on, got the air charge temps back down to where it was, and this thing made like 75 horsepower more. I think we're at 80 horsepower more now, simply by just cooling the air that went into it. So there was an increase, right? But again, for a 4 psi increase in boost, it was only 80 horsepower, and it required us to actually cool the air down. So Boost is not always the answer, guys. There's been a lot of testing. I mean, it goes back to the 4.5s, right? Where guys were trying to get the most aggressive pulley combination they could. The theory is the faster you spin it, the more boost. Well, sure, the boost number was up, but because of all the variables we're saying, less power was actually being made. We did some testing with the V13 Vortec blower. We found out the same thing, just natural as, hey, we're going from a 3.4 pulley to a 2.85. We're going to make all this horsepower. Hindsight, we found out all we were doing, down low we made more power naturally, yes. Right? But once we got to the higher PM, it was just pumping hot air. And peak horsepower wise, it's going to be more beneficial to put a larger supercharger pulley back on it. And again, it's for all of those things: parasitic loss, temperatures, friction, and the fact that you're just abusing things a lot more. It takes more horsepower to spin it. So no, but boost isn't always the answer. There's also a lot of other variables when discussing this, like 2.4 versus 2.7, and we're seeing a lot of people go, oh, should I swap to the 3-liter? Well, guess what? Right out of the gate, the IHI 3-liter from the 2.4, it's going to take more horsepower to spin. And then what we know is the larger the supercharger, the less they like RPM as well. So the smaller blower with less parasitic loss can be spun a lot higher, and it still takes less horsepower to spin it. So I would take a ported 2.4 blower any day over a 3-liter blower, even a 2.7, right? We have 2.4 blowers making the same power as 2.7s all the time. As we say, the smallest supercharger to achieve the horsepower goals you have in mind is going to be the best. Same thing with turbos. All around, it's what's called efficiency. You want to really target efficiency. So that's accounting for parasitic loss, temperatures, friction, and all things considered. So, yeah, good question though. So what's next?
Absolutely. Boy, can't wait. Could you, should you ask advice on the internet?
Yeah.
And trust it as fact.
So we touched on this a little last week, but as weeks go on, this is one of those things, guys. I get social media is great and you can reach out to a lot of people, but what I'm going to say when it comes to we're going to have a guest. Welcome.
You think you're
say
doing? Hi? Just barging in on our show.
Got bright out there.
Barging.
Yeah.
So when it comes to asking for advice on the internet, right? What you guys want to consider when you're building a car for performance, you are going to reach out to thousands of people, and then you have to decide if they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. And the problem with the internet is anybody can make a statement and sound confident. So now you're stuck trying to filter through who's right and who's wrong. There's shops out there like us that employ people, right? We have experts here that do this day in and day out. And eventually, most people in the end scheme of things are going to utilize these shops, right? I'm just going to share, guys. It's frustrating when people come to us to do a build, even ask advice, but then they counter it with, well, I saw on the internet or I read on the internet. Cool.
Awesome.
Right? So we get argued with on a daily basis when people ask us questions and we answer it, and it might not be what they want to hear, or it might be different than what they saw on the internet. And it turns into an argument case of us having to defend ourselves. There was a conversation in a group about storing the 85. Multiple tuners got in, and we all said the same thing. Me, I'm not going to name others. It's, unless they want to, they can chime in. But we were all having a great discussion about storing a vehicle on the 85, what's most beneficial, what we recommend, and what we've seen over the years. And then there's people that come out and be like, oh, I've been running it for 3 years this way. Oh, cool. On your one car, you got lucky and you took a chance and you've been okay, right? Understand that professionals are going to speak usually from a worst case scenario of something they've seen. So that way you plan for the worst and hope for the best, right? And in a situation when it comes to storing the 85, I've seen injectors that are less than 2 years old fail, right? Just for no reason. Let alone ones that sit for 3-4 months and get clogged or gel forms in the fuel system because people didn't run their car. So I'm going to advise on that. But then we get stuck as professionals arguing with people out there that think they know more, right? Or just because of their own personal one experience is superior to others, right? So more of what I think is beneficial is asking who or experiences with shops. Because what is most beneficial for you as a customer and for us as a shop is the relationship we're going to build, right? A lot of this is not only developing return customer bases, right? We hope to see you guys multiple times, but you guys work really hard to spend money on these vehicles and build them up, right? And you're going to entrust us to do that on your vehicle. So why wouldn't you take our advice over the guy on the internet that just can post something very confidently, right? And those are the things you have to consider. I do feel it's great to get opinions on things, right? But when it comes to legit advice, you do have to weed through and figure out who is a professional with true experience or who's somebody that's very opinionated and has a lot of time on their hands, right? And it ends up making it more difficult for the end shop, right? So could you? Hey, yeah, free country, right? You can do whatever you want. Should you? My personal opinion is my personal opinion is to really find a shop you trust and then use their time because it makes the overall build easier.
Yes.
Short and long term. We, as long as it's an experienced shop that truly knows what they're doing, we see more than that guy on the internet. We kind of will know what works and what doesn't, right?
This is our daily life, is doing this stuff.
And understand, we don't want comebacks, right,
No.
guys? We want a good reputation. We want great service. We want the best thing for any of us here is hearing how happy somebody is, or the attention they got, or the track time they posted. Good luck to everybody at Legion of Demons right now. Keep those logs coming. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, we have seen more times than not where these people take the advice of stuff on the internet, right, and just start throwing parts at things. Guys, understand, we sell parts too. I get it, right? And, you know, people are going to tell you to do stuff to sell parts. Keep that in mind. We're not one of those shops. We'll do it if we see it's beneficial, but we're not going to tell you to throw in
A ported throttle body.
you know, ported throttle body on a stock car. You know what I'm saying? If it's not beneficial to your vehicle, I'm not going to do it, right? I've had guys call us, say, "Hey, will you put my ported throttle body on in my throttle body spacer?" And we call them and say, "No, we're not going to do it." Jeff. You know, I have never installed a pedal commander, and I never will.
Sorry, Jeff.
Never. I will rip them out in a heartbeat,
Yep.
but I will never install one. There are shops out there, guys. There's a lot of us that. There he is.
Jeff?
Oh my gosh, here he is. There's a lot of good shops out there, but there's more that are not, and that's where, if you're going to get advice from the internet, I think it's more what you should look for is the opinions or experiences people have had with shops, over, you know, how to actually build something, because you're going to start implementing things into your conscience that you think you might know more, and then it's going to throw that relationship off with the shop because you're doubting yourself or doubting the shop because what they say is different than the guy on the internet that you know nothing about. You're not trying to spend money with him or anything. It's just a guy that's probably unemployed and has the time to respond, right?
You can get away on E85 with stock Hellcat injectors on a 275 upper. No, you can't.
Yeah,
Don't listen to him. Just because you can do it cheap doesn't.
So, could you ask for advice on the internet? Free country. Should you? No. Ask for opinions on experiences and go that way. Okay. So,
Opinions on purple wrap on a car, will it make it faster?
purple. I hear it's a debate of purple and orange being the fastest color.
So what might work for you, Cameron, is like a two-face where we do half orange and then half purple, and then both of them will add 5 horsepower together, and that'll be a 10 horsepower. I mean, if you got a 5.7, that's doubling your stock power, damn near. Let's go.
Your Magnum stock power.
Dude,
Don't talk
down.
Yeah.
5 PSI oil pressure. Let's go.
Yeah.
Jeffrey asks, can you put a pedal commander in my car? And then, can I store my car with E85? Do I need to start it here and there? Do I need to let it warm up, get it to operating temperature? Or should I just let it sit for 6 months, not clean the injectors, and go do back-to-back watt pulls?
There you go. A lot of questions in one. The first one we'll start with, which is important, is could you store a vehicle with the E85? The answer is yes. Should you? Why not? Right? The fuel itself is not what's bad, everybody. So let's get that out of the way. The fuel, E85, is not bad by itself. What you have to worry about is water. That's what destroys E85, okay? What happens is it creates a gel. Now, that doesn't sound good because the injector holes are so small, so when they try to open, gel doesn't go through. Or your fuel filters, right, are designed to have fluid flowing through them, not gel, so you'll clog fuel filters, okay? So, how does water get inside your fuel system? A couple ways. One, bad fuel. Gas stations are horrible sometimes, and there's some water mixed in with it, right? Now, it doesn't turn to gel immediately. It takes time for it to do its chemical thing, which is way over my head, but it takes time. So what do? You start it and run the vehicle. Okay, guys? I tell people 2 weeks, right? Every 2 weeks, start the car, let it get up to operating temp, couple revs in there, get the fuel flowing, fuel pumps moving with bypasses in them, so it's circulating everything.
Operating temp.
Operating temp.
Operating temp.
operating time, not 2 minutes, not 5
No.
minutes. Get it to 10.
Yeah. We'll
Let
go
that
to
puppy
100.
get warm.
Not good enough.
Yeah, let
Be
it get
better.
warm. But just circulating it is great, okay? Now, E85 is harsh. It's corrosive, okay? It is very hard on parts. We understand that. It does shorten the life of fuel pumps. It does shorten the life of fuel filters. It does shorten the life of injectors. So another, excuse me, added piece, clean your injectors once a year, minimum. If you're a racer, multiple times a year. So even with these preventative steps, you know, I joke around and say, do you guys wait to do an oil change for when the rod blows and, you know, you get rod knock and shoot it out the side of your block? No, you do an oil change based on time, how much you drive it, whatever the case may be. It's called preventative maintenance, okay? Just like you change spark plugs. You go into spark plugs and change them all the time, right? So why not clean your injectors and verify whether they're good or bad? It's very easy. More and more shops are opening it. We have cleaners here. Listen, I'm not Injector Dynamics where I make injectors and I have big $1 million machines. I have a cleaner that I put them in and I can check the flow, right? Make sure they're good. If we see anything alarming, then we send it off for real world data, but just cleaning them, right?
It helps.
It does.
It helps.
Oh, we've saved a ton of motors.
Yeah, I mean, mine were 15% off from one winter.
Yeah.
Just because I wasn't starting it every 2 weeks like he told me to because I'm lazy.
Yeah, exactly. So, what do you do if you can't start it, right? You go away for work or something, you're in the military and you just parked it and then all of a sudden you ended up being longer. Be ready when you get back to do a little more maintenance, right? You know, yeah, I would pull the injectors right away and jump the pumps and try and clean things out, check all the filters on the car, and get the injectors verified that they're flowing okay. It's called added maintenance, guys, preventative maintenance, right? It may be frustrating, but it's a lot cheaper to take these steps of preventative maintenance than a motor, right? A melted piston can destroy a lot in the process. If it's partially clogged, you know, detonation is even scarier sometimes. So
Yeah.
the fact is, could you store a vehicle on E85? Yes. Should you? Go for it. It's just taking preventative maintenance and steps to prolong the life of everything there, okay? So don't be afraid of it. It's okay. But like I said, at a minimum, every 2 weeks, spray it. Start it once, get it up to temp, couple runs. You don't have to drive it. Just let the fuel system flow. And then usually what we do for any car that sits over the winter for those instances, come springtime, you should change your oil. Even if your car sat and didn't do anything, you're changing your oil. Pull your plugs out, check them, and send those injectors in to be cleaned. It's not expensive. It's just a little bit of time. You get them back, and you'll be ready for spring and hurt feelings. So,
I've heard heat and injectors not spraying 100% correctly can lead to expensive repairs. You're gosh darn right, can. And Cameron says it's easier to change the oil when there's a hole in the pan from said rod. You're right. Getting the oil back in is the hard part.
yeah, the oil's drained already.
Yep.
My oil pan on my red, I was cut in half.
Dude,
so
I mean, he didn't have any leg
great.
work.
Yeah, no worries.
That 0.5 labor
For
gone.
whatever reason, it didn't take any more oil. Strange.
No, it made a big mess on the floor.
And the wheels.
On the wheels, underneath it, the track,
The track,
all of it,
That was
the trailer,
trailer.
my hat. I used my bucket hat to collect
did.
parts off the track.
We did. Yep. If only somebody had a drone there to record it so we could see the saves. Man, that would have been cool, wouldn't it? Anyways,
Okay.
next question.
Next question. I heard that if you only run E85, no flex fuel, you're likely to have less issues. Is that right? It depends on what flex fuel you're.
No, no, that's not true. Okay, so why would you have less issues running just an E85 tune versus flex fuel tune? It doesn't matter what type you have. Well, what issues do you have on a flex fuel tune that are being referenced, right? So the big question, the big one I do see all the time is, an E85 tune, a strict E85 tune is going to make more power than a flex fuel tune. It's not true either. When it comes to ethanol, right? And yes, there's multiple flex fuel types, right? What it comes down to is the actual quality of the fuel and making sure the tune for the fuel is correct, right? So the tune is not going to create less issues. It's just, the actual quality. We tune remotely E85 cars all the time. And we try to, inform them on why you want to install an ethanol content gauge, right? Some refuse. So the way we do it is in an email, you tell me what the ethanol content is, and that's what the tune is going to be developed for timing, expected fueling, and so on and so forth. So if you go, I don't know what that ethanol content is, neither do we as tuners, right? Yes, flex fuel, we have a gauge, we know. That's where the benefit comes in. But you don't want to run an E85 tune if you have 60% ethanol in the tank. going to tell you that. But if you don't have a gauge in place, how do you know, right? So in regards to problems, there more sensitivity on flex fuel tunes. You know, our flex fuel, I'm going to try to rebrand it to help. But you know, right now this Satera tuning flex fuel, we use an ethanol content sensor that feeds back into the computer, and then that's how the tune changes, right? So it's just like an intake air temp sensor, engine coolant temp sensor, map sensor. A sensor is telling the computer what settings to put out, right? Inferred logic, which uses O2 sensors and their fueling correction to guess what the ethanol content is, right? Yes, I get it, manufacturers put it out all the time, but the reality is they don't put it out on performance vehicles. It's all, you know, entry-level 4 cylinders and things like that, right? To where the margin of error is much bigger. So, you know, with that, when it comes down to being conscious, right? Inferred logic relies on your O2 sensor readings being perfect and your injector data being perfect, okay? If you have an exhaust leak, a vacuum leak, or anything that will skew your O2 sensor readings, it will then skew, you know, what the guessed ethanol is, which then could cause issues in the tune, right? So from a standpoint of that, I understand if you're saying there's more problems based on a specific E85 tune versus a flex fuel tune. It depends on the system. It depends on the knowledge of it. I know the good inferred logic tuners out there. We choose not to do it because one, we have our own system we stand behind and it has some added safety features. And we just haven't had to, because we developed that and put so much time into that, we haven't had experience on the Mopar platform with inferred. So I'll let those that have had the ability and the time to go into it. But even though it is based off of, you know, guessing off the O2 sensors, they still install ethanol content sensors. That's a 2 thumbs up for me on that one. It's an added fail-safe, right? And it comes down to educating. As long as you as an end user know how inferred logic works and know the ways you can check it via a data log, right? You know, get a little ethanol gauge there so you can count to see what the computer's looking at versus what, you know, the gauge is showing. As long as it's there, right? If that computer thinks it's 75 and the ethanol gauge is at 72, you're good. You're good. So it's knowing how the system works. You know, once you get anything away from factory or the more features you add, complexity always can add problems, right? It doesn't matter what it is. You know, the more complex, the less simple, the more issues can go wrong. Like fancy cars with a lot of electronics on it, right? The more electronics you have in it, the more issues you potentially can have. But when they work, it's great.
Hi, BMW.
Don't do that.
You're good for 5 years till you're not.
Stop.
What?
What if somebody at BMW sees this?
I had a BMW.
It doesn't matter. They're good cars.
I love BMWs. I want one. Somebody BMW.
But yeah, so that's I understand what you're saying from a standpoint. If you know, depending on the actual flex fuel style setup you have. Again, this comes down to building a relationship and understanding the shop tuner, what comfort and level of experience they have versus you know, what you're looking for and seeking. Right. I've turned people away and recommended them to other shops because what they're looking for is not what we like, do, or you know, believe in, and other shops might. So you know, that's the beauty of, you know, businesses being run by people. There's a lot of different opinions and variables. So you want to build that relationship around that core.
Man,
what happened now?
Jeff said, "I've seen your cars, Tulo. I don't care if I can blame you. It's my own fault, honestly.
Very true.
Like 90% of it's me."
Yeah. Well played, Jeff. Well played. All right, next
I'll
question.
put the pedal commander in just for that comment. No, I won't.
They're banned in my.
They are not allowed. Can't even park a car on the lot with one. If a 392 is tuned for E85 and you get in a real rough spot, you're in Montana or something, and you can't find E85, can you use 93 for a short term while still on the E85 tune?
That's a great question. So I'll simplify it. Could you run pump gas on an E85 tune in any vehicle? It doesn't have to be 392.57, but can you put pump gas in when you have a E85 equipped tune? Could you? Technically you can, with limitation. Should you? In an emergency when you have to, which is what this question is, you can. Now, why? Right? Why do I spend all this money to get multiple tunes? Well, I'm going to explain it to you, right? So roughly, from pump gas to E85, you need to run 30 to 40% more fueling depending on the quality of the ethanol, right? That's one of the minor tune adjustments we make. So we have to go in there, add the fueling, so on and so forth, right? So if you're on an E85 tune, your tune is set up for all this extra fuel. You're in the middle of nowhere, and you need pump gas, and you didn't get supplied a tune, or you forgot your TDM password, or it's on your computer, you forgot at home. Whatever reason you can't flash a pump gas tune. What will happen is when you fill up on the car, at first. We'll talk about stock cars, bolt-on cars, things like that. Running a stock-style fuel system, we'll start there. It takes a little bit for the ethanol to blend and make it out the injectors, okay? So what will happen is as you drive, the O2 sensors going from E85 to pump gas will slowly start going, hey, I'm a little rich, right? And it's going to start pulling fuel out. So if you were to look at a data log, your fuel trims are going to be, minus 30, 35, 40% once you get down to pump gas numbers, right? But the car will drive fine because it has the O2 sensors in place, okay? Do not go wide open throttle.
No, please.
You not want to do that. Now, naturally going from corn to pump gas, it's going to be rich, so it's just going to bog down and have all the time. It's just not going to be happy. But, you don't want to rely on, if you're a Hellcat powered vehicle, the corrections of the O2s, and if you're a non-Hellcat powered vehicle, it's just not going to work, okay? But can you drive like normal? Yes, you can. You're going to most likely get a check engine light for rich condition going from E85 to pump gas, right? Which you can clear once you get the tank emptied or get back to your E85. So, yeah, the O2s have the ability to correct enough when driving normal, just avoid any type of abuse. Or sudden transitions. You're going to drive real slow, put the hazards on, whatever. Just try for fuel economy because the O2 sensors will be able to compensate for the initial transition, but nothing else in the tune is set up that way, so you don't want to abuse it. So in a case of emergency, you can. Hellcat powered vehicles, they have wideband, so they're a little quicker, right? But again, I don't recommend to go wide open throttle, transitioning from one fuel to another if you don't have a right tune for it, okay? For or return style fuel system types, the blending happens a lot quicker because it's cycling and returning. So on the because it's not as gradual of a change, you might have some drivability issues, but eventually the O2s will correct as well. You'll get a bunch of codes after you transition back. Same thing, it might get codes in the opposite direction. The best way is once you get back on the fuel you want, clear your adaptives, reset the adaptives through your logger if you have it, your TDN app, or the standard reset the battery for 30 seconds on older cars, and then drive it gingerly until you cycle through a full tank of gas. So, could you? Yes. Should you? It's okay. Just be careful. Don't abuse it. So, good question.
I've been in that predicament. I went on that government map. They said that Shell's got E85. They did not have E85. I was pretty much on E. So, got to be careful. Hey, here's a good one. I have an NA car. I love my 5.7. I was thinking about putting a colder thermostat in it. Will I make more power with a colder thermostat?
Yeah. So, no. So
damn.
could you run a colder thermostat, 180T stat on a otherwise stock or bolt-on vehicle? If you want to, go for it. I'll tune it, right? Should you? My answer is no. And we've talked about this before. I'm bringing it up because we just had a car in here that they installed the parts themselves. Long tube headers, 180T stat. And I've seen this and I've spoken to it many times before on especially, NA cars. What did you do?
I don't know.
You're so weird. Anyways. So, guys understand that these fuel-injected modern vehicles, they actually make more horsepower when they're hot, okay? So the goal with any modern engine is hot operating temps, so proper coolant temp, oil temp, specifically oil temp, right? With cooler air inlet temperatures, so your intake air temps. If you can get both of those down, you will have a healthy, happy engine, okay? So this particular car is a 5.7. We'll post the dyno numbers next week. Long tube headers, 180T stat. Every dyno pull I did, as the temperature got warmer, it made more and more horsepower. Now, on a 5.7, I'm talking 2-3 horsepower increments every dyno pull until I got to the point of where the thermostat was opening and the fans were turned on at 180 degrees, I stopped making power. Now, if I were to let it keep going to normal factory operating temp and get to 200, 210 degrees, would it have made even more power? Probably. In a controlled environment like what we have with the air and everything, it would have continued to make more power. So, that's one of those guys that, it's an old school mentality. Those old school big blocks, small blocks back in the day, carbureted, that really had, a clutch fan on it and stuff like that. Very different on why you'd want to try to reduce the coolant temps. They burned fuel a lot different. But with the efficiency of cooling systems and oil cooling systems and fuel injection, it's the exact opposite. You want a hotter engine, hotter, that's why they're called operating temp, guys. Think about it. Why wouldn't they set operating temp on these vehicles is 180 from the factory, right? It's because they actually burn the fuel mixture better. They actually make more power. Fluids. Think about fluids. The warmer they get when it comes to viscosity, the thinner it flows, right? And at operating temp is the desired viscosity, which is going to be thinner than when it's cold. That's part of the reason it does gain power too. So I'm not a fan of it. If you do it, I'll put it in. I usually have this conversation and tell people in advance, right? It's not a necessary or beneficial mod. If you're in a climate where it's 110 degrees all the time, it's a little bit of a different story, right? But the reality is 98% of people on the road, there's no benefit to a lower thermostat from OEM. Hellcats, boosted vehicles are a little different because obviously the rate of RPM increase, the amount of power they're making, the heat that they generate upon explosion in the combustion chamber generates more heat. The reality is, guys, you want to, at a minimum, because of the oils that are used on street cars, you want your oil over 210 degrees no matter what. One, you want water to evaporate that might be in the oil or that comes from fuel and stuff like that. But two, that's what they're designed for. So, it's one of those, unless you're a race car engine.
I think that's Mark.
Huh?
I think that's Mark.
Oh, cool. Mark can jump on.
Yes, sir.
Unless you, really redesign your engine, change it over to like a racing application, it's one of those things. Oh, we got another guest.
Special guest.
What's going on?
What up, Mark?
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
Join us.
Good.
Welcome to the live stream.
I think we only have a few more questions. Oh, the font got bigger. So yeah, we're getting there.
Live stream.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
you get to be part of it.
Hey.
Oh, this looks bad.
Sure.
If you really can't read it, you sit on the front couch.
Please
Oh,
read
no.
it. Oh,
All
no.
right.
Sure.
Yeah, we're okay. It's okay. We're okay. Don't worry. This isn't getting weird. 180T stats. Once you get boosted, it's a different story, and we can have the conversation then. But stock bolt-on vehicles, not necessary.
You want to do two more?
Whatever
All right.
we got, yeah.
Any RHO updates? We've had some RHO questions.
Oh, have we? Yeah.
Yes,
So, did you show him what Chris was doing on there?
No, because I didn't know how public that's supposed to be. I went under it,
Yeah.
and I said something's going on.
Yeah. So right now we are doing some exhaust modifications. Why it looks so bright?
Oh.
I'm so white when it's
Yeah,
okay.
that's
It's
what I'm
better
saying.
closed
I
anyways.
need tan.
So the RHO, you haven't been seeing a lot of 0 to 60 times. One, we had a lot of snow. Two, we have finalized our intake system for it. We also right now are working on a mid-pipe upgrade to it. So we've posted a couple videos out there that are hitting around of what it's potentially going to sound like, which is cool. So we are working on expanding the offerings with it within our limited capabilities until we have tuning. So,
Yep.
So next time you guys see her, she's going to have a new exhaust, new intake on it. And it's going to be back on the dyno. So working with Burger Tuning and with our JB4, we're going to hopefully develop or tweak maps for the exhaust change that we're making. So.
It's gonna be fun, fellas.
It
It's
will run
gonna be
11-second
fun.
quarter mile.
Get
It's so much
excited.
the road.
Get excited. Here's a good one. Hi, I like my PCM tune, but I feel like XYZ didn't do a good job on my trans tune. Can you guys just do my trans tune? Will we just do a trans tune with no PCM tune?
So could you do a TCM tune without being involved in the PCM side? That's probably a better way to state
Yeah.
it. The answer, could you? The real answer is no. Should you? And the answer is no. And the reason why is the PCM and the TCM are married, and a lot of the settings require the synchronization of those settings, okay? So I've had guys reach out and go, oh, I want a trans tune from you. The PCM side's good, but my tuner didn't know how to do the trans, so can you do it? The answer is no, because airflow, fuel, shift points are all going to be based on what's on the PCM side, right? Torque management. If I just go into the trans side, but they have all torque management turned off on the transmission, and then your trans blows, you're going to blame me when the PCM side is the reason it blew up. So, no, you really shouldn't. And it kind of concerns me if you have a tuner that says they can't tune the transmission, especially in this day and age. I don't know why that would be the case, but we do hear it on a weekly basis still.
Sadly.
So you really shouldn't do that. And if you're calling me, we've had another one call that needed a TCM tune because the PCM's good, but it's going into a limp mode from the trans side, so it just needs the trans tweaked.
Yeah.
How do you know it's on the trans side? So I don't like starting with other people's stuff. It's not beneficial to anybody. We prefer and kind of require stock files. If I have to work through somebody else's mess, it usually takes longer, and I'll tell you the results normally aren't what we both want to see. So, Yeah, it's best for everybody to start stock and trust a tuner that can do both sides, especially now.
Save your stock tune.
Yeah, save your
it.
stock tuner whenever
Save
you
it.
can. Wherever you go, your
Yup.
tuner should have it requested.
I got it saved on my hard drive,
Thousands.
my SSD, a flash drive in case I
It takes
lose it.
3 days to back it up to the cloud.
Dog, it's
All right, let's do one more, I
Don't go.
think. What we got? One more.
Ooh, should I trust an ethanol test tube, or should I get an actual gauge that tells me exactly what it is at the sensor? Or should I just pour gas all over my hand when it's 10 degrees out and then pour water?
Yeah, absolutely. You start with the water, but you throw it
I
away. So.
don't know to do it right.
Anyway, so what he's talking about is how to test your ethanol, right? If you're in an E85 car, like I said earlier, tuning, I'm going to ask you what the ethanol is if it's not in front of me, and we would like to hear answers, right? So the old school way to do it is you would get a little test tube, you put a little bit of water in it, you fill the rest up with gas, you shake it, and you let it sit, okay? The problem with that is, one, you're relying on somebody somewhere, probably in a foreign country, to put a sticker on very accurately, okay?
They might have a bad eye.
You're also relying on you putting the exact amount of water they want in and the exact amount of gas, and then your tune is going to be based off of where everything lines up on there. Now, you're hoping that it's clean E85 fuel with only gas and E85 in it. There's no dirt or detergents or water that might be mixed in, right? That's going to throw things off. So, that's one of those things where I don't trust it. Now, it gives you a general ballpark, right? I know we're going to be in the area, but we've done a lot of time. Bro, relax.
We're live.
Horrible. Very unprofessional.
Wow. He's getting fired.
Right, yeah.
tomorrow.
Anyways, so I have seen it with testing where we've done very thorough tests with the test tube and running an ethanol gauge, which is truly designed to read ethanol. We've seen about a 5 to 10% variance where the tube was really high and the ethanol gauge was low. Why? The ethanol content sensor reads ethanol only, okay? I've actually had guys show me pictures of test tubes where it was like 75%, but the ethanol gauge was reading 20%. So here we believe in ethanol content sensors. That's why we make the fittings and everything for every year, make and model we work on. That's why I'm trying to put one on my RHO because I'm playing with ethanol on that as well. So, I get it. It's better than nothing if you're doing the test tube, right? But the reality is I like to know what's at the fuel rail itself, and that's why we put the ethanol content sensor at the fuel rail so we know exactly what fuel is going in the engine. So I get it, old school way, it's better than nothing, but I still trust a sensor designed to do an exact purpose. So
Yeah. One's a little bit more trustworthy,
I would say.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys, this is a good one. We have customers here, so we're going to go hang out with them now. Thanks for checking in. We'll see you guys next week.